Welcome back, everyone. We have a great guest with us. We have Kyle from Exporter. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Emily. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. Let's get into this. You are releasing your fourth studio record March 8th. With being in a band for quite a while, has your approach changed with writing records?
Um, yes, and ultimately, for me, the quest is writing the best songs possible above trying to uh, do the most amazing vocal things or the most amazing guitar things. There's no chance of me doing the most amazing guitar things, so we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, the songwriting and the production side of it is really where my passion has been lately, and Sasha and Jason share the same passion with me in that regard. So when we started this album, it was you complete an album, it's really never completed. You just kind of have to walk away from it and admit that yes, it's finished. But you also, when you go to start the next thing, when it starts at zero and there's enough silence, and you have to make an album, it's art. It's a beautiful thing. But most importantly, I think along the way you have to learn what not to do. The mistakes that you made previously, you want to eliminate those mistakes and end up with something that shows some growth. Now, whether it's better or not, to me, that's subjective to taste, which is the listener. The listener is the one who gets to make that decision. But at the same time, we feel strongly that this album that we just did is a better representation of who we are,
Mm,
and the best album that we can deliver at this point. And that's what you want.
of course. And then with you guys putting out a new record, are these all new songs that you guys written, or are some of these archive songs?
For me, the songs I brought to the table were all new.
Mhm.
Jason might have had a handful that he's been sitting on for a while,
Mhm.
um, but even the older ones we took and kind of reinvented to make it more what we're doing,
Yeah.
and I think that was a success.
And with you bringing up songwriting and how it's like super important for you, how long for you as a vocalist, I'm guessing you're the lyricist, how long did it take you to write this record?
Well, we started. We were out on tour with Overkill
Mhm.
in March of 2020, and with 2 days left, we were told that the tour was going to shut down and that everybody had to go home because they were about to lock everything down.
Yeah.
So when we finally got home from the tour and reconvened, we all agreed it's time to start working on a new album. It's unfortunate because we were really just starting to promote the previous album,
Yeah.
but you can either sit around and cry in your drink about things not going the way you planned on them, or you can get back to work, and that's what we did.
That makes sense. And with you like writing this record, is there any new songs you're excited to play live?
Yeah, well, we just did play. We just completed this tour of Latin America
Mhm.
with Vio-lence, and we played the two singles that we have out right now
Yeah.
for every show, and the crowds went nuts for them. So we will obviously keep those in the rotation,
Mhm.
but we're probably going to take another three or four
Mhm.
and and prepare those for this next tour that we're doing, because the album will be out by that time. We're not going to play six new songs in the set, but we want to be able to have some to rotate in and out to
Yeah.
make, just for variety in our set throughout the tour. Um, so we're not just doing the same thing over and over again. And when we do headlining shows, we'll be able to have the option to play more. Yeah, it's a slippery slope, because if you play too much from a new album, people are like, "Ah, they're shoving
Yeah.
it down our throat." Um, and there's a lot of people that are coming to see us perform songs from the old albums, and there's just no two ways about it. So a healthy balance, I think, is good.
And for you touring so much, how often do you guys change your set list?
Uh, really, we kind of this past tour, we kind of had a set list in place,
Mhm.
because we were told in the beginning, you need to play 75 minutes because it's a co-headliner. We're like, okay, no problem. Well, sometimes show runs behind, so they come up and go, just 60 minutes tonight, guys. So then we got to say, well, okay, which songs do we chop? So I kind of figured what makes a good 75-minute set, what makes a good 60-minute set, what makes a good 45-minute set, and then we stuck with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we had templates for each,
Yeah.
where we knew if we had 60 minutes, we could add 2 more than last night when we had 45, 3 more songs, and so forth and so on. So, but the less changing around you have from night to night, the more fluidity you have. I think
Yes.
it just makes for a more cohesive and consistent connection between band chemistry. So
Right.
that's really important too, because the less you have to think about it, the better.
I agree. And with you guys touring, like I said, so much, is there any songs you feel have to be in every set list and they can't be taken out?
We do have a handful of those, yes. There was one time in the history of this band that we did not play the song Desecrator, and people came up to us ready to fight at the end of the night. So, so we've done. There's only one gig where we've never played it, but I think now, probably especially from the first album, there's a
Oh yeah.
handful that you just got to play every night, and probably Legions of Death is one of those. Slaughter in the Vatican is a really important song to me, but when we start chopping to a 45-minute set, sometimes it's tough to get another long song. Because Desecrator's long,
Yeah.
so the Vatican's long. You start doing a lot of long songs, and you're not playing a lot of songs. So
Mhm.
there's probably going to be a couple of them. The song Exhorter, that's one, especially lately, people really, really connect with that one. So we've kind of made a sandwich out of Exhorter and Desecrator at the end of the show, with a special treat in between. But those two will probably stay in the set for quite some time. At least those two.
Oh yeah. And then for being a vocalist, is there any songs or lyrics that you sing live that hit you really hard that you're like, oh my god, every time you play them?
Um, I don't know. To me, the words come last.
Hmm.
It's one of the hardest things, because I think, because it's so important to the average listener to have that connection. It's the thing, I think, that connects most people to music the fastest, because
Yes.
not everyone's a musician. So, but everyone speaks. So,
Mhm.
uh, I think it's important to have that connection, and having subject matter that people can relate to in some kind of way. Some things might be more profound than others, that I say. Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. Sometimes it's just, um, potty mouth for being the sake of potty mouth, I guess. But
Yeah.
no, the things that I write, and a lot of what I write is like from right off my sleeve,
Hmm.
my life experiences.
Yeah.
And not all of it is. Some of it's just stuff that sounded cool. But I don't know. To me, once the words leave me and go to other people, I think the subjective meaning that they get from whatever I was writing about, I think that's more important than trying to find out what I was thinking.
I agree all the way. And do you have any favorite riffs that you've written?
Um, yeah, yeah, sure. Throughout the years, there's always some riffs that I've written, that stick with me. The chorus for Exhorter is one of them.
Mhm.
Um, Previous bands I've been in, there's several there for sure. Off of this new album, I think the song "Divide and Conquer" is probably some of my better riffing. So, yeah, there's always stuff that you like. I'm really proud of that one, But I guess at the end of the day, that sometimes it's the simpler riff. Look at Walk by Pantera. It's
Yeah.
nothing to it. But it's nothing to it. Dime could
Mhm.
play stuff way better than that,
Oh
but
yeah.
people connect to that.
Hmm.
And just like Iron Man, it's simplicity, but it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be acrobatic to be great. It just
Oh,
needs to be something that people can connect to.
I agree all the way. And with you guys touring with so many cool bands, do you have a dream tour lineup you wish would happen?
Uh, Man, there's been so many bands I've dreamed of touring with throughout my life. A lot of them are dead. But I mean, there's plenty bands today that are uh, that are doing it right, still at a high level
Mhm.
that we'd love to go out with. Some of them are bands that we influenced, and we'd be really, more than anything, we want to play with bands that that we're similar to, that we
Yeah.
that we're not totally similar to, but that we feel like we could still connect with that crowd. More than anything, we just want to have a variety of tours, instead of just playing to one specific audience.
Yeah.
We're not a pure thrash band. We're not a pure punk band. We're not a pure metal band. We're not any one thing. So I think we do have a little bit more flexibility in a lot of
Mhm.
ways than some bands might, with being able to say, well, we can go tour with I Hate God, or we can go
Yeah.
tour with Helmet, or we can go tour with Exodus, and
Mhm.
all of these different bands, and those bands are all quite different, but we feel like I'd love to go play with the Melvins. Melvins are one of my favorite bands in the
That'd be
world, and
cool.
I think that we could put a nice set together that would jam great with the Melvins audience. They're a huge influence on us, you know.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. And then, like you're talking about so many genres, what's some of your favorite tours you've done with bands?
Um, we always have fun when we tour with Overkill.
Mhm.
We've done 3 tours with them now. Vio-lence, this past tour, I think, was probably one of the most chill, laid back, get along well kind of tours that we've ever done. So, um, Vio-lence and Overkill, yeah, those have been really fun. Um, Man, like back in the old days when we were touring, we toured with Channel Zero. They were fun to
Mhm.
tour with. Um, Who else? I When I was in Floodgate, we toured with Sepultura on the Roots tour. That was fun. That
Oh,
was
that must have been
amazing.
cool.
It was great. It was fantastic. Now they were going through a lot at the time, but they were
Okay.
still wonderful people to tour with, and we had a great time because it was my first arena tour. It was like I don't care if people are mad at us and throwing things at us because we're not Sepultura. I'm just having a great time.
Damn, it must have been crazy, especially with Max Cavalera and like Igor Igar. Like that must have been cool, man.
Yeah, yeah, they're wonderful people. They're all just really so kind and laid back, just like my kind of people.
Yeah. And then with you touring with bands like on that level, is there anything you learn still to this day, even though you've done so many different tours?
Yes, yes. When you're doing support on a tour, it's very important to get your job done efficiently
Mhm.
and not be in anyone's way. And this, I use that mindset. And sometimes I'll have people from the headline band come up to me and go, "You realize you've earned the right to be here, and just don't worry about us. Everything's fine. Just do what you need to do." And I'm like, "But I'm still wanting to be a professional.
Mhm.
And my job when I'm on support on a tour, my job is not to promote my band as much as it is to warm up the crowd for the headliner, and that way we sell more tickets
Yeah.
eventually when people see this, that we're a strong support band, and we get the crowd into a frenzy so that the headliner gets to go out there to an already frenzied crowd. That's my job on a
Mhm.
tour when I'm direct support. And I've had this conversation with people and they disagree. It's like, no, 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 you should be thinking more of yourself. It's like, well, I kind of am in a way, because I'm still doing my best and putting on the best show
Mhm.
that I can, but that's my role on this tour, is to make a better show environment for the headliner. And if I keep doing that with my team, if
Mhm.
we collectively do this, we're going to get better tour offers.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's how it works. And if you get branded as a band that's difficult on tour, good luck.
I agree. And what's for you? What do you feel is the hardest thing with touring?
the travel, the lack of sleep. This tour we did of Latin America this month, it was 10 shows in 11 days, I want to say. And
Mhm.
from January 30th until February 12th, when I came home, there were only 2 days that we weren't in an airport and in airplanes. And sometimes on those days, we had 3 flights. So you have to do all of this, try to get enough sleep and rest and food and prepare yourself for the show.
Oh,
And it's not easy. It's a grind. It really is. And I'm 54 years old. It's not like I'm 23, 24 with all this youthful energy.
yeah.
I'm a battered old man. It's playing a young person's game, and it's not that easy.
With talking about stuff like that, being a vocalist, do you do warm ups, or do you like, oh, you don't talk most of the day so you rest your vocals or anything like that?
The most important thing, and I am a vocal instructor,
Mhm.
the most important thing that I tell all my students is rest. There's no friend to a singer like rest. And if you're out on tour and the show's over and you decide to go out to a bar afterwards till 6 in the morning, getting loaded, smoking cigarettes, and then you only have time for an hour or two of sleep before you got to get up and travel to the next one, you're going to have problems eventually. You have to, as a singer, your body is your instrument, so you
Mhm.
have no good option other than taking care of it. It's not to say you can't have a good time, you just have to be smart.
Yeah.
So yeah, warm ups are a thing I teach all of my students. It's very, very important part of getting yourself together. For myself, once I'm out on tour for a few days, I don't have to do the warm ups as much as I normally do because I'm in tour form. But
Yeah.
especially if I haven't sang in a while, when I'm going to record and I haven't sang in a while, I have to warm up. I have to record, perform the song several times before I really start getting good tone in my voice
Dang.
to make good takes. So there's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Oh yeah.
And you just have to be brutally honest with yourself. Like when you're recording, you have to go, would I buy that? And if the answer is no,
Right.
you got to re-record it.
That makes a lot of sense. And with you touring a lot, do you have any tour rituals or rider requests?
For Ryder, a lot of times we put in snacky kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Like when we get to a venue after traveling, it's usually lunchtime or breakfast time or something. So, you want to have stuff that's going to give you a quick protein, like cold cuts and cheeses, yogurt, nuts, fruit, high energy foods. And, for dinner, God, as much as I love pizza, you don't want to eat it every day. So
Right.
you kind of have to tell them, either a sensible hot meal option or a buyout, so where I can go somewhere and buy something to eat that will have vegetables and this and instead of just give these guys Domino's. They don't care. They're rock and rollers. It's not that simple, but we like to have some drink options, and when it comes to beer, I'm kind of a beer snob, so I don't want the typical crap American beer.
Yeah.
I'd rather a better beer option. Um, so yeah, you don't want to be a diva, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you got to survive, and being on the road is tough.
Mhm.
It's really tough, especially in the U.S. to uh, to get a lot of amenities on tour. A lot of times, the promoters don't think much of the direct support acts, and uh, they don't want to have to spend money on that and the headliner too. So a lot of times we might just have water. I mean, we've had times where we show up in our room playing in a nice theater or House of Blues or something like that. And I shouldn't say that about House of Blues. House of Blues is usually good, but sometimes you play these nice theaters and there's not even water for you. It's like,
That's
you
pretty
know,
messed up.
and you're looking outside and you see a full house. It's like, so you can't even buy us water. Like,
That's
wow,
that's that's pretty rude, actually, to be honest with you.
I think so.
And for someone that's been in the industry for quite a while, what advice would you give your younger self?
Stay in school.
That is pretty good advice. Let's be honest here.
I'm joking, but I'm serious too, or at least have a plan B
Hmm.
that makes sense. I got a job as a plan B when I was in my mid 20s because music wasn't paying the bills.
Hmm.
So I learned a trade, and that trade eventually became plan A when I became a family man. And music went from plan A to plan B and vice, the day job, they flip flop places. And I mean, I felt trapped for so long, but I was able to be lucky enough after my kids grew up to have another shot at doing this again. And it
Yeah.
doesn't always work that way. I think my situation is a bit of the exception to the rule, unfortunately. But I don't want to be a dream killer for young artists because the world needs new music,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just feel bad. I work with a lot of younger bands trying to help promote them, and I believe in them, and they work so hard. And I just look at them, and I always tell them, like, I feel so bad for y'all that it's so difficult. There's never been a harder time for a young band to try to start from ground zero. It's really hard.
I
So,
agree.
always have a second option, but give it your all if you're going for it. You have to.
Definitely. I agree with you all the way. And for you guys accomplishing a lot, is there anything left on your bucket list?
Plenty. We're just getting started. I when I first set my mind to being a musician, I dreamed. My first heroes were Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Kiss, Queen.
Mhm.
Playing arenas.
Yeah.
It's like I want this thing to get as big as it's going to get, and the way it this band, we're lucky. Like, it grows even when we're not together. It still
Yeah.
grows, and I'm not sure why, but it does. And when we're working it, it grows even quicker, exponentially quicker. So, just in the past few weeks, really, since these two singles have come out, the growth has been immense, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that since 2018, beginning of 2018, we have been pounding the pavement and playing a lot of
Yeah.
shows and really working hard, and hard work pays off.
I agree completely. And then one of the last questions I'm going to ask here, someone listening to Exporter for the first time, what three songs would you tell them to listen to?
Uh, let's see. Um, well, I would say now Safe Enough because I, I'm only going to go with songs that are released.
Okay.
So, uh, either one of our new singles is a good place to start
Oh yeah.
because that's where we're at now. So, that's a 1A 1B kind of thing. From the last album, My Time, that's a very popular song, not just uh, online and on the streaming platforms, but when we play it live, it's something that people can relate to. Basically, if you've ever had a job or went to school, you can relate to that song.
Yeah.
And aside from that, probably Desecrator.
Oh yeah.
Desecrator's always been a crowd favorite.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a solid list. With you guys releasing this record, where can everyone keep up with you and find this new record?
Well, we do have exhorter.com,
Mhm.
and you can catch any of our socials. There's links to all of our socials there, tour dates. Um, there's also our Facebook page and our Instagram. I'm starting to try to build up our TikTok.
Nice.
That's been slow because I don't understand TikTok. I'm 54 and I shouldn't understand TikTok, but my daughter's been kind of helping me try to figure out what's the best way to approach that.
All
Uh,
right.
so, but it's a kind of a necessary evil. It's a huge outlet. I look at some of the bands from New Orleans here that that use that outlet, and I mean they're just killing it on there. And here I am just trying to get several hundred followers. uh, but yeah, the socials, Instagram and Facebook are probably the easiest, fastest
Mhm.
way to follow what is going on currently with this band.
Nice. And I'd like to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. We're grateful that anybody cares.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Well, I'm going to end the
Thank
show
you.